Common Nerdy Hair Fan Fiction. Kenan and Kel, Anacondas of the Night by Mezzanine X. It was getting late. Hey, Kenan, we better get home soon. Chicago gets dangerous after dark, Kel called out to his friend. The boys spent their Saturday night at the park, relaxed in this summer heat. Just a month after high school graduation, life had lost its spark. Gone were the wild and wacky situations they freely found themselves on the daily basis, bringing relief and boredom. Everything was safe. They could hardly keep up a conversation together, but their bond remained strong. Words were very unnecessary. Kenan and Kel exchanged energy with each other to survive. Kel, man, let's head out. They lifted themselves from the grass and started to trek home. Kenan pulled out a flask from his shirt pocket and took a mouthful of cheap vodka. Kenan, man, you should really stop drinking, man. I hear that's bad for your liver. Don't I know it? Kel had been very nervous ever since Kenan started drinking. Damn it, Kel, I need it. Besides, you probably messed your insides up from all the orange soda worse than I ever could with my party liquor. But I love orange soda. And I love booze, so shut up, man. They carried on in silence. The night was quiet. No crickets, no cars, just wind rustling the leaves. Then soft voices, bushes shaking. Kenan, I hear something. But Kenan ignored it all. Apathy kept him saying, Kenan, man, I'm really worried. Two figures lunged out of the bushes and pinned Kenan and Kel to the concrete. Well, fellas, a third figure emerged, standing over them, dragging on a cigarette. Looks like we caught ourselves a couple of coons. Might be big ones, too. Oh, I'm sorry, he was supposed to be Southern. Kenan knew these men. They were to school together, Adrian Brotherhood types. They kept to their own in school, never started any trouble. He saw his captor's face. His name was Skip. The guy on Kel was Chad, and their apparent leader was Bucky. What should we do to them? Asked Chad. Bucky blew smoke in Kenan's face. We show 'em a good time. Skip and Chad chortled like baboons. They struck their captors until they were unconscious. When Kel came to, he couldn't move. He drowsily gazed upon the scene. Tied to the tree, Kenan tied to the one next to him. Both shirtless, cold. Chad in his face. Rise and shine, boys, he sneered, cracking his knuckles. We're gonna have some fun. Bucky stepped from the shadows, the stub of a dying Marlboro between his lip. He went over to Kenan and put the glowing red head of the cigarette out on his nipple. Kenan awoke, yelling in an intense agony. Ain't use in hollering. We deep in the woods now, said Bucky. Let's get started with the power tools, fellas. Skip came out from behind a tree in a gimp gear and followed the others into the shadows. Kenan looked to the dirt. This was real. He couldn't deny it. He only wished it would end soon. Kel's sniffling was quiet, but still audible. I'm scared, he whispered, distracted by his thoughts. Kenan couldn't listen. After all we've been through, we're going out with a whimper in the middle of the woods. We're going to suffer. We're going to hurt. And thank God when it's over, he felt the thin rope on his wrist behind the tree and the thick one on his stomach, sucking in his gut. He dropped a little, but did little good with his arms tied behind the tree, but it gave him a glimmer of hope and motivation. He shifted up and down in a joint effort between moving his arms, inhaling and exhaling. A combination of his weight and friction on the tree bark wore the rope on his hand, and then he snapped free. Forgot to play the music. He freed himself and went to Kel. Keep quiet, man. Be cool, he whispered. Their hearts jumped up and down. Adrenaline ran across through their veins. Fear ate their brains. As soon as Kel dropped to the ground, they ran. The three Aryans returned, drills and chainsaws in hand, but saw two piles of rope, and their entertainment for the night was missing. Looks like we on a coon hunt, boys, snarled Bucky. Kenan's heavy footprints in the mud gave them the direction to follow. Chad, take a left. Skip, take the right. They went their separate ways and charged after Kenan and Kel. Kel, let's stop. Kenan was exhausted. They stopped together, looking around nervously. You think we're safe now, Kenan? We've been running for like an hour. Kel sat next to his fellow fugitive. Kenan dug into his pockets for his cell phone, but only felt lint. We can't keep running, Kel. We have no idea where we are, and they can't be too far behind. We gotta get them first. Kel's face turned confused. Kenan, what do you mean we get them? They kill us, Kenan? They'll kill us, Kenan. Kenan? Kenan covered his bright green shorts in mud. He gave a handful of mud to Kel and said, cover all the bright colors on your jeans. Then throw some grass on some of them. We gotta camouflage. Go commando, man. Kel put on an interesting cover of mud and dead leaves on himself. Leaves crunched and bushes swayed. About 50 yards behind them, they held their breaths. Chad came into view, but he hadn't seen them. Kenan and Kel crawled on their stomachs, inching towards Chad. They picked up a fist-sized rock to aid them in their catch. They were wild animals, panthers, and their survival was in question. They were about to do something about that. They stopped 5 feet apart. Chad was in striking distance. They sprung up in silence. Kenan busted Chad's ribs, and Kel turned his skull into pulp. Chad fell. 2 to go. Hey, Kenan, let's take his drill and chainsaw. Kel dropped his bloody rock and lifted up the chainsaw. Kel, you dummy, that makes too much noise. We need something better, though. Kenan scratched his head and looked at the body. Give me that chainsaw, Kel. He handed over a tool and began to manually saw off Chad's legs. The heavy scent of hot blood crawled into their nostrils. Kel gagged, and he nearly puked when Kenan came to strip Chad's flesh off his thigh bone. I bet the femur's gonna make a good club, Kel. Kenan unflinchingly handed his best friend the left femur of the man they just murdered. Throughout the woods, they continued to hunt Kenan and Kel, dirtied, bloodied, bone club in hand, savage, frightened cavemen, ready to kill. Quickly, silently, they stopped. They saw Chip. They saw Skip. Skip saw them. Skip's heart skipped a beat. Were these men really Kenan and Kel? How could he fight them? He got a hold of himself. Remembering the electric hedge clippers in his hand, he had the upper hand. 1 against 2, but he could do it, just like in the movies. But before he knew it, he was on the ground, fetal position, pain smothering his body. He could smell old blood, then fresh blood. He thought of his childhood. He was dead. Kenan stood and screamed in the air, "Come on, Slappy! Let's get Bucky!" Bucky heard Kenan's war cry. Dumb idiots. Gonna be dead, idiots. He revved his chainsaw. The engine shook the forest. The sound was just up ahead. Hopefully, Skip and Chad heard it too, and they could circle the lard ass and the bony freak. Something shined in the pale moonlight. It was Skip's latex gimp suit, cloaked in blood. Bucky held his nose and gagged. He looked at his feet and saw a white club thwack him in the stomach. He fell on his back, dropped his weapon. The wind knocked out of him. He helplessly stared at the sky, eyes wide in panic. His former prisoner stood over his body. Kenan dropped his bone and picked up the hedge clippers. Kel watched the shaking points of the blade slowly dip through the air towards Bucky's chest. Kenan took his time opening up their catch, gunning it like a deer. Blood splattered at their shoes. Kel stared at the filthy new Nikes and exclaimed, "Ah, here it goes!" The end.